Hello, my fellow geeks and nerds, and welcome to NerDaddy, where we talk about all things nerdy in the science and pop culture. My name is Toby, and this is actually the first NerDaddy podcast. You can find my YouTube channel under www.youtube.com/NerDaddy, and you can find my blog on www.nerdaddy'slive.blogspot.de. For today, I invited some friends. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hello, my name is McKay.
And my name is Mahanrai Turley.
What's your first name?
Mahanrai.
Mahanrai.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard one for the Germans to say.
And we're going to talk about Star Wars today. And no, I made a couple of videos about Star Wars already on my YouTube channel. And I promise there will be some other topics. But for now, we're going to talk about Star Wars. And when we're done with this podcast, you will know why. So, what's your background with Star Wars?
So, I grew up watching the films, really loved them. I'm a really huge fan of the video games as well. I really loved the Star Wars Force Unleashed series. I think that video game series, holy cow, it just really got me into like the intertwine of the worlds. Like because like growing up, you only see the films, and then you start playing and reading the books, and you're just like, I think it actually made me like really think deeply of the movies and actually started looking a little bit more deeper into the characters because I love writing, I love movies, and then all of a sudden you start looking at the characters a little bit more. And so I really love Star Wars because it has a good story and it makes you think about the characters. It's super awesome.
Cool.
I'm just your classic bland movie watcher, like, oh, it looks cool, I was just the kid who watched it and had all the action figures and played with my buddies, just fighting lightsabers.
That's how you do it, Like, I don't think there's not one person that likes Star Wars that didn't have, like, broken, like, eye sockets from, like, beating your friend with a blue lightsaber.
Exactly.
Those are the good times. Those are good times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pretty much grew up on Star Wars because my dad used to have those very old VHS tapes.
Oh yeah,
with cardboard covers.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah, that's why I had two. All my friends had DVD, and I just had the VHS.
And this was before all those extended editions and all those things that George Lucas added to them.
Oh
so
man,
this
those
was
were garbage.
like the original stuff,
Of course, there's no singing weird moth thing.
Yeah.
Oh, please no. Barmherzigkeit bitte.
Okay, so why don't we go through the whole saga, movie by movie, starting with episode 1?
Okay.
What did you guys think of episode 1?
Episode 1. Well, episode 1. I think episode 1, seriously, was... Like, are we talking about episode 4 or episode 1?
No, I mean, like...
Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
Phantom Menace. Okay,
yeah.
Phantom Menace. I think Phantom Menace had some really cool things in it. I liked the idea that George Lucas had about introducing the Jedi, because when people watch the fourth, fifth, and sixth movies, they hear about the past Jedi, and so like you get this huge vibe going into episode 1, especially people that have never seen Star Wars today, and they're super pumped to finally see this stuff. I know I was as well. But then all of a sudden you start to see, like, oh my gosh, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. And you start looking at that, and then all of a sudden you start comparing. So I think, like, depending on if you've seen 4, 5, and 6 first, it's really going to change the opinion of, like, episode 1, obviously. But I was really into it until, like, you start, like, getting introduced to, like, this weird world of Naboo. Like, Jar Jar Binks, I think, literally will give people cancer. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't even, like, if... Like, the accent, like, people can do Yoda super easy, but I give them props if they can do, like, a fluent Jar Jar Binks. Yeah. Top props there.
Yeah.
It's pretty... it's awful. I hated it.
Well, unlike you nerds, I just watch it and think, wow, pretty lightsabers, big robot armies, and explosions, so I love it. I really, actually... Everyone always disses on the newer 3 movies, but I actually really like them. But I was also still very young when I watched them, so I didn't really care. So...
Oh, yeah. I think like another thing was just like you're being the whole point of the prequels was that you were being introduced to Darth Vader. And George Lucas, he promised so much with this series that you were going to have all these questions, like you were going to know why Darth Vader is named Darth Vader and all this stuff. And then later, it was just like, and also this is probably like the most boring Star Wars movie. Like you get to the point where like you finally meet Anakin and you're like, holy cow, this is Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
he's like 8 years old, and you're getting all the classic dumb lines like "Wow, pod racing" and all this ridiculous stuff, and you're just like, holy cow, this is not Episode 4, this is not Episode 5, this is not Episode 6. And the thing is, like, if you started with Episode 1, that's really great for all those new guys that are coming in like, wow, I've never seen Star Wars before, let's start with Episode 1. But everyone in the whole universe has started with Episode 4.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was just...
I hated it.
Oh, it was
I really
awful.
did, because you know, what I was expecting when they announced that Episode 1 was coming out, I was expecting everything that Obi-Wan has told me about how he met Anakin Skywalker in Episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that was in Episode 1. Like, you literally can skip Episode 1 and go directly to Episode 2 and it would still make sense.
Right.
Like, that movie didn't need to happen at all. And
Oh, yeah.
and the whole thing with this Trade Federation conflict that went nowhere and that
Oh, my goodness.
that started, was there, and was ended in the same movie. So I was like, what was the point of that?
I totally agree with you. I think they should never even made Star Wars Episode 1. I think that was a really large leap by George to do, because you literally don't need it. The only cool thing, literally, was Darth Maul. Darth Maul, I think, was killed too soon. I think, and also this BS story where he gets cut in half, and then Clone Wars, you find out he survives.
Spoilers.
Spoiler. Sorry. Anyway, like, it's just ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. It's just, it was just awful. I think what they should have done, I remember hearing someone say, like, they should start with Episode 2, put up and make a movie in between the 10 years. Like, people don't realize, like, between Episode 2 and Episode 3, sorry, I'm getting a little off topic, we're still in Episode 1, but, like, this gap, like, yeah. I agree with you totally that they should never even made Episode 1. Totally not necessary.
Yeah. So let's go a little bit deeper into the story then. We have Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is still a Padawan in this. They are sent off as ambassadors to the Trade Federation, get caught, then all of a sudden the Trade Federation starts invading Naboo, and I don't get why.
Oh my goodness.
True.
This is a roast right here. So I don't understand this at all. Like, this whole invasion of Naboo. Why did the Federation want Naboo in the first place? We never know. Unless you want to spend 30 bajillion hours reading novels upon novel. But no normal, like, moviegoer is going to want to sit there and read, 20,000 books of Star Wars literature. That's just not plausible. And so...
Well, the opening crawl said that they were taxing the trading routes, and so the Trade Federation made this huge blockade of Naboo. But then again, why would they invade Naboo then? Because the reason for them to block Naboo was that they wouldn't get any supplies. Why would you invade them then?
Yeah, that's weird. And the other thing is, like, you have trading routes. This is space. Isn't there literally a bajillion ways you can get to Naboo? Of course, creating a perimeter around the planet, but, like, you're blocking trade routes. There's a highway in there? This is Jetsons? Like, let's just stop at the red line here. We're on the trade route. We can't go around or over here. No, that doesn't work. That's just, oh my goodness. My favorite part was when they go to the government to ask for help. And I love it when the little, like, look, they're, like, shaking their hands, like, they think what's her name? Queen Amidala's lying. Like, you need proof that they're invading in order for us to help. And you're just like, don't we have drones or something that we can send in there to like prove that like they're being slaved? Like there's literally like Naboo concentration camps down there. Like
I mean, it says that this is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but they got hyperdrives and spaceships, and they can't even take a photo of what is happening there.
Like literally, like we have a Hubble telescope that can tell us like if there's life like bajillion lives away, and they literally can't send a probe or anything over there to see if this lady's telling the truth because everyone's like, no, that's impossible. We would never destroy our treaty with Naboo. That's like the #1 honeymoon planet on the planet, like the universe on the planet. We can't just go there. And so it's just ridiculous. It's like send someone over there. Oh my gosh, that was so annoying. Like, they literally flew here in a spaceship, and you can't go find out. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, and then we, of course, meet all of our favorite characters.
Oh, of course.
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. King Binks.
He's a legend.
Crown that man.
I mean, why would you need that character anyways? Like you meet them so that you can borrow this submarine thing in order to get to the palace on Naboo? And then, in the end, you need him to get in contact with the Gungan people so that Queen Amidala could borrow their army. But what's the point of the character, though?
Oh my gosh! Let's first give credit to the Jedi here for trusting the #1 idiot Gungan in the galaxy to be the representative. Like, Misa thinks that we should go to there. Like, Jar Jar's right. Let's trust him. You know, like, great idea there, Qui-Gon.
I mean, what could possibly
go wrong? He's gonna jiggle his cheeks at you, and then you're put to death. Like,
but also one thing, why did they need Jar Jar Binks to get the army to help out Naboo when the Jedi's in the first place used the mind trick over the whole leader to allow Jar Jar Binks to leave?
I think. Well, I've heard a lot about the Darth Jar Jar theory. Like, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos on that. And I actually did not believe it. I thought it was total, like, just nonsense. But then you watch it. And it could be possible that George Lucas was probably, like, either the biggest idiot of all time thinking that this actual character was going to work. Because if the people that they explained on YouTube, like, maybe Jar Jar did have something more in his character. But that is such a weird way to approach a character.
So I think we need to explain that a little bit further.
Yeah.
So this theory says that Jar Jar Binks isn't as clumsy as he seems, but he does that on purpose because he's a Sith Lord.
He did the Yoda effect. What Master Yoda did in 5 with Luke. He was just like, I got your dinner sausage. Space beefy. But, it's literally what it is, guys. It's a space beefy. Let's just acknowledge that. But I think the thing is that, like, that was ingenious if that's true, because Jar Jar literally is unbearable to watch. But from what I've seen, like, if it makes sense, all the people, they hated the first movie. They hated Jar Jar. They hated everything about it. And then all of a sudden, you see, like, of course, George Lucas was filming Episode 2 probably around the time getting stuff. And you see but the thing is, like, if that theory were true, and if Jar Jar were, like, this is a Sith idea, and then he totally got canceled, why is he still in remnants of Episode 2 and even Episode 3? Like, George Lucas would have just totally chopped that character, and it would have made sense, because if you would have chopped him, no one would have ever, like, questioned, like, oh, where's my favorite character, Jar Jar? Like, no, George Lucas put him in politics. Like, oh my gosh. If any people are wondering, like, how politicians, like, can be corrupt, like, George Lucas knew exactly. Like, there's politicians like Jar Jar Binks out there in our real world that are in this universe. Jeez, maybe that's where he's got inspiration. Anyway, but, like, it just isn't, like, the theory makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense, and I'd hope that Jar Jar, like, he was either comic relief or there was something deeper, and it was a really bad attempt at comic relief. I think we can see this with other directors too. Like, Michael Bay is a perfect example in Transformers. He tries too hard, and I think George tried too hard with Jar Jar. I think that's my final opinion. I don't believe in the theory to a whole total 100% because there's just too much, like, later pop prints and other films that you're just like, okay, why? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I guess that George Lucas is quite a good storyteller. Like he has
flipping amazing.
He has so many great ideas, but he's such a bad director.
So bad.
Like when he sold Star Wars to Disney and they were planning on making Episode 7, he approached them and wanted to be part of that, and they denied him.
Oh yeah, George, did you not see Jar Jar? We can't afford that costume at Disneyland. That's just crazy. The kids will run, George. That's just not gonna fly.
True. Okay, so what really impressed me at first, but then confused me even more, was the Jedi Council.
Oh my goodness.
Like I thought, yes, this is what the Jedi were meant to be, right? But then they are testing Anakin, and Yoda is like, he's crap. He's the worst. He's too old. He's like 8 years old. That's too. Yeah, he's too old, and I can sense the dark side in him. Because he misses his mom. Let's just put that on the jail. No attachments, thank you. But
oh my god.
But then in the end, when Qui-Gon gets killed by Darth Maul, and Obi-Wan gets promoted to Jedi Knight like immediately, and then Yoda said at first he's not gonna be trained because he's too old and there's too much fear in him and he misses his mother and yada 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 yada. And then in the end he's talking to Obi-Wan, who says, you know what, I'm gonna train him anyway, whether you like it or not. And then Yoda's like, okay, well, I don't want to take him off because
I don't know why. Yoda's fucking powerful. Oh my gosh.
I didn't get it. What was the purpose of that?
I don't understand. See, this is, I think, something really important, because when people read, like, the extra novels, these things make sense. But when the audience is watching this, okay, first, like, he's too young. So how young do you need to become a Jedi? If we read the novels, it says, like, oh, they're picked up from birth, you know? But in Episode 2, you see flippin' younglings just as old as Anakin with a lightsaber. Can you imagine if Episode 1, like, Anakin had a lightsaber? Like, he just, like, raised it and just forced the lightsaber out of the snow, and he's like, this is pod racing! You know, just his hand with
He would literally have chopped his own hand before.
Maybe maybe we would have had luckier. Maybe Jar Jar would have been in the way. No. But, see, this is the issue, is that the audience is seeing this, and then they're making dots. Like, wait, how is Anakin too young? And the whole thing, like, Yoda, like, no attachments, all these things. If you look at it, you cannot tell me that Obi-Wan did not have an attachment to Qui-Gon when he totally got skewered by Darth Maul. There's no way. And so this whole thing, like George says, like, no attachments, it doesn't really make sense. Because Jedi, if you're going to be in a partnership, they should just have them go complete solo, you know? You can't have attachments. Yeah. So, I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me that, like, they would not allow Anakin to be trained, especially when he's like, can you imagine, like, Superman come in Justice League and be like, hey, I want to join, and, you know, he's like the most powerful superhero ever, and like, you didn't join us a couple of years ago. Sorry, you're not coming in. You know, like, no,
you're far too old now.
No, go join the Sith. They'll have you. You know, like, go join them. Oh, sorry, you have to kill 30 younglings before. Sorry, you didn't meet that criteria.
But I mean, you know, those kids, those Jedi Padawans, they get taken away from their families, so they don't have a mother or a father for that matter. Then they get raised in the Jedi Temple until they're about, 8, 9 or something?
Or something. I don't remember. I haven't read the books.
Yeah, and then they get trained by a Jedi Master until they're like 18, 19 and ready for their final exams or something. And how is a child not to be attached to somebody that is a literal father figure to them?
Right.
And
over years.
And even then, like, so say if, like, okay, they don't have any attachments to any father figure, then they're going to have attachments with the other children because they're going through the same thing.
Yeah,
it's like Ender's Game. You know, like, the kids, they're going to attach. We're human beings. The Jedi are flippin' cool. But the thing is that the weaknesses therein is what causes them to either turn to the light side or good side. And that's the cool thing I liked about the old films, is because Luke was vulnerable the whole time. But he was human. He fell in love. He had family connections and all these things. And that's the other thing, is in the prequels, they don't really explain the whole connection thing like it did in the old movies. Because in the old movies, it's obviously okay that Luke can move on and have a family and have all these relationships. I mean, I guess not.
Because
I guess not.
Because Yoda tells him after he has this vision of his friend suffering, he's like, if you're going now to save them, that's the path to the dark side.
Yeah, I can't have friends, sorry. Jedi life stinks.
So we have this whole no attachment things there again.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think the whole, I don't know. I guess you can kind of see it even too, in episode 7, Obi-Wan just monkeying it in the mountains, in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I guess it makes it simple for them to follow the no attachment policy. But the thing is, how long have Jedi been around? They've been living this for how long? And I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me. If you think about Master Yoda, he actually never did have any attachments that we know of in the movies that is shown on the film. I can't remember a time where he looked at Luke. It's Luke, my brother, go kill your dad. I love you, bro. He never said that. Even when he was dying.
He's 900 years old. And,
yeah, I mean...
And for him, the lifespan of a human would be a decade to us.
Yeah, I mean, he's seen a lot of stuff, that's for sure. But, even then, the stakes are high. Yoda's dying, and he knows that this is it. And Luke needs all the moral support he can get. And I don't know. I think it's very interesting because, in the sense, Luke should have been messed up from the very beginning because he had all of these attachments going from the get-go. And if the whole attachment thing is true, then Luke should have failed in every aspect because, I mean, think about it. Think about how many attachments. He lost his aunt and uncle. He lost Obi-Wan. He was about to lose his friends. I mean, he was unstable. He was a teenage girl in high school. He was all over the place. There's no flipping way. But he conquered that. He beat that. And so I think that the whole thing, of, you have to control your emotions and you can't have any connections, or, I don't know. I just don't think it makes sense at all. Especially, in the prequels, they never even explained it. That's the cool thing, is that the prequels they were supposed to be this massive explanation, and that's not what the fans received. There's just more questions that cartoons and literature had to answer.
Yeah, I guess we're just jumping back and forth here.
Yeah,
let's just go to episode 2 then.
Episode 2.
Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, or as I like to call him, Anakin Crybaby Walker.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Right?
I literally wondered what was going on in the briefing room. Okay, next Anakin, and they have him sand gets dirty and everywhere. I truly, deeply love you. Oh, you're hired on the spot. Get him a lightsaber. Is that literally what happened? I cannot believe that they got this kid to be Darth Vader. It just you're watching him and you're okay, if there was 5 movies and this is stage 2 of Anakin,
yeah.
I could understand that, but it just did not work.
I mean, this is the guy who's supposed to end up as being Darth Vader, and when he was killing all those sand people left and right, and then he was talking to Padme I killed him. Merciless, and I didn't feel a thing about it. I saw
them like animals.
This guy is as menacing as a Care Bear. What is this?
It is seriously, it's just, the thing is that I think they tried to make Anakin, there's a difference between Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker. His motive, Darth Vader, he killed people. He was a bad guy, but he didn't, genocide children, sorry, we're going way ahead, but genocide sand people and just just kill them left and right. It's just, it didn't feel like the reason why Anakin like would have gone evil. Like it would have been like, we can understand like the relationships that he has that could maybe turn him, but like I didn't think it just felt like a huge leap there that they're really trying to force down the audience's throat.
Yeah. And it didn't even feel that realistic. Like it didn't feel like a logical path that his decisions and the circumstances would take him. Like it felt like those anti-alcohol commercials, like drink responsibly, and then there would be a super wasted guy hitting a tree with a car. This was like he missed his mother. He went there to rescue his mother. His mother died, and then he was killing sand people all of a sudden.
Yeah.
People. This is why we're teaching no attachments. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the whole theme of Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3 is just be a robot. You know?
Yeah.
Then you'll survive the Star Wars universe as a Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing with his mom, I think, made like it's just kind of like, I don't know, like the same thing like Yoda, like I just can't believe like they they should have done something. Like, come on, like you can't go see his mom, like he has to be a complete 100% Jedi. It's just kind of crazy to me. Like, I mean, Yoda would make total sense there. Like he has a mom, and you just took him from his mom. Like the scene in Episode 1 was so emotional when he had to say goodbye to his mom, and his mom, like, especially when you see Episode 2, then you see Shmi Skywalker just sitting there, and she just looks as dead as ever. And that was an emotional scene. Like, I think there is some pros in Star Wars Episode 2, like, where Anakin's like, I'm here, Mom. And she knows that's her son. And, like, she's been dreaming of that moment. And then she dies. And that like, I thought that was really powerful. And I guess you could say, like, that powerful scene could have led in to, like, the anger. But it just kind of felt weird. Like, it just didn't feel right. I think they could have just played it a little bit better in Episode 2 with the Anakin going. That was his dark side moment in Episode 2.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about the relationship between Anakin and Padme?
Garbage. Absolute garbage. I think we could get more relationship sass watching Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
You know, like iCarly or something.
Well,
like,
think of it from George Lucas's side, you know. He's targeting everyone, the whole audience. And Star Wars is obviously going to capture all the 10-year-olds, you know, explosions, spaceships, robots, all this. But you also need to add in a love story so that everyone else will watch it.
Yeah, but I mean, all the three of us have dated every once in a while.
Yeah.
And imagine a girl that meets a guy that is like 6 years younger than her.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And he's like, my father figure is such a prick, and I can't even make anything right, and he won't let me get forward, and I hate sand, and he's whining all the time.
He whined a lot.
How is she supposed to fall in love with him? And it even happened so quickly. Like, it was like, no, we can't kiss, and this is not right, and you're a Jedi, and I'm a senator, and whatnot. And then all of a sudden she knows that she's like, you know what, I love you. When did that happen?
I know a bunch of girls who would do that.
We're about to die. I love you. Honestly, I think Anakin nailed it with the first words he said to, like, Padme. Are you an angel? That's what
got me from the start.
Got him from the start. Your father said those words. I knew I was going to marry him in 10 plus years. But see, that's the weird thing, is that this is not a TV show where you slowly watch Anakin go into a young adult. We literally just had Episode 1. How many years? What was the year differential between Episode 1 and Episode 2?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a long time. But when we look at Episode 2, and then we had, like, the audience is familiar with a child as Anakin Skywalker, and then you see Padme. It freaks the living daylight. It freaked me out when I finally realized that. Like, when you finally get older, like, wait a second. They're like, how many years apart? Like, it's insane. And Padme is actually romantically interested in that. He must have had, like,
Bob in the cradle.
Like, it's super crazy.
Yeah, well, he was 8 years old in Episode 1, and she was 14. Like, he was kind of...
Oh my gosh.
Kind of the childlike empress thingy.
Did they ever in the films identify their ages?
No,
She did not look 14.
She did not look 14.
she didn't.
She looked like at least 20 or something. Like, and finally, George was like, "Oh, this looks pretty bad." Yep, she was 14.
Yeah.
She was a very matured 14-year-old. You know, like that's pretty well done there, George. Yeah.
And also, what kind of a society puts a 14-year-old on the throne? Like this is a democracy. Even though she was the queen, she got elected.
Mm-hmm.
And who would elect a 14-year-old?
I don't know.
King Tut from
King
Egypt.
Tut, I guess. I don't
King
know.
Tut.
But like this is like space like stuff. Like we really don't have anyone else that can lead these people. And like Naboo was like, I think they had like some sort of system of election. I don't remember. Like Padme kind of like, I think she could have been like something, right? I forgot. Yeah, Eagle. But like, it just didn't make sense. The whole relationship, like how that could even start. Like, seriously, realistically, are you gonna like marry someone that's like 8 years younger than you? Like when you're like 20 something, like or 30?
No.
That would never happen at all unless you were a psycho. So Padme's either.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it seems pretty odd. Like she would have been 24, and she would have to fall in love with a whiny 18-year-old. That's like complaining all the time. Like in every scene that we see them together, he's either complaining or telling her how great she is.
Oh my gosh, it's
yeah,
so
that's
true.
attractive.
I remember watching it when I was little and being so bored in episode 2 until Geonosis came. But like as you grow older, you start to like really pay attention to like film, and it was just so bad. Like you said, the romantic dialogue, like sand, it gets everywhere, and they try to make that connection, like him being in Tatooine and hating his past, but also he loved his mother. So like that doesn't really make sense there in the writing that like he has such a strong attachment to his mother, but he hates like everything else, and it's just like I don't know.
I think it was sort of that he hates his past and Tatooine and
like being a slave,
just because he missed his mother so much, and everything about that reminded him just of his mother.
Yeah, probably
so. That's why he hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I always found that dinner appointment kind of awkward. Where they're eating the little space pear.
The space pear.
And they're riding the weird pear-shaped animals in the freaking field.
Everything on this planet is pear-shaped.
But
those ladies.
Oh my gosh. I like the dialogue was just so bad. Like I seriously, the writer for that should be super embarrassed. If you were trying to make
guess who the writer was?
Who?
George Lucas.
George Lucas. George flipping Lucas. It just doesn't make like they literally could like if they wanted to make a romance between Padme and Anakin, it honestly could have worked. But it would have had to work with good writing. And I think if Star Wars were to be taken a little bit more serious in the writing, even in today, like it could actually be really good. But it seems like they try to force so much plot movement and action that they actually cannot develop these types of characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because you can't just sit there for 4 hours like Pride and Prejudice and actually develop romance between characters and see that work.
Yeah.
And the plot, you have to move it forward, especially what Mahanrai said about this is for a whole audience. You have kids in there. Like, you can't be dwelling on this romance for so long. You have to push it forward.
So let's talk about we actually talked about this before. The relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And how they separate ways.
Yeah. This is my biggest pet peeve of Star Wars. I literally this isn't like in every sense this doesn't make sense, especially as like being a master. Like a Jedi, you are literally training your Padawan how to become a perfect Jedi, like an effective Jedi. And so, like, Obi-Wan literally just leaves him with this babysitting assignment. And let's not forget that Padme was mentioned in the elevator with Obi-Wan before they got I just can't stand not being with her again. I wish I could dream of her more than I dream of my mother. That I don't know.
That is so wrong in so many
Like,
ways.
seriously.
Really
And Obi-Wan is just like sitting there listening to this, like, yeah, okay, you can just go hang out with Padme for a couple. No, that literally should have been the first thing brought up in the Jedi Council. Like, Anakin, you should take Padme to #1 honeymoon destination in the whole flipping galaxy. Go there, take a cruise ship, go ride on the fat camel cows. But that's literally not what happened. Obi-Wan should have been like, well, time out, Yoda. I just heard this on the elevator, and he was like, whoa, good caster, Obi-Wan, that could have been pretty bad. Like, we could have had twins in this. Like, holy cow, that would have been bad. And Mace is like, heck yeah, it would have been bad. I hate kids, and they're just, like, that would have been, like, that seriously would have saved it. But Obi-Wan doesn't do anything. Like, he's the worst. He doesn't, like, indicate anything. So what does he do? He goes on his awesome assignment to find the bounty hunter, okay? And he finds out that there's a clone army and all these things, and he gets captured, Well done there. You had one assignment. You went a little bit over extra credit. Like, you got the segment, like, help me! Help, they're everywhere! But then, and he just leaves Anakin, and he's on his own, and it's just ridiculous.
And it seems that Obi-Wan is a little bit, I don't know, overreacting on the whole situation, because he gets sent to Kamino to investigate this clone army, and then he finds out, the prototype or the mold for those clones is this bounty hunter that is still here and that is about to leave. I guess I would get extra credit when I capture him and take him with me. Well, guess what happens? He gets captured.
It's literally the worst. It's like, he's like the worst. I don't like Obi-Wan. I really don't. I think he's the worst Jedi ever. And this is just one of the many points of why he is the worst Jedi. It's because first of all, like, he goes to get a job done, doesn't finish it, and then he tries to do more than what he couldn't finish. And he doesn't relay any of this information back at all. Like, and Yoda's like, go check out this clone army, I will. Let's see what happens down there. Like, no, let's remember, like, Obi-Wan never told the information about, like, wait, maybe he did. Obi-Wan did tell him that there was a clone army. Did he? And they told that said that the bounty hunter was the mold for the clones.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think he did. I don't remember.
Did he though?
I don't remember.
He does. He realized to R4 on his Delta Wing fighter.
Yeah.
Except he couldn't get signal or something. No,
yeah.
that was on the other planet.
I don't remember him saying that the bounty hunter. I remember him saying that Master Sifo Dyas made the army.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
He was already dead by that time.
He was already dead by that time. He's like, I wasn't aware that we had a clone army. And like the Master was like, I don't remember that order. Let's check that out. Look at the receipts. Get in the drawer.
Where's the financial guy?
Are we missing 7 billion credits? I thought that was for pizza. No, I mean, I don't remember, though, if he ever mentioned that the bounty hunter did say that. But either way, like, he gets captured, and then he creates this problem. And then, of course, Anakin does what he's supposed to do and realize the message. Of course, Anakin's trying to be the wingman that he has, but maybe that's why you shouldn't have an attachment, because, And this is the other thing, is that, like, because Obi-Wan and the Senator... these two Jedi and the Senator, they go there and get captured. It does not make sense to me at all that they would send all those Jedi, and let's not forget how many Jedi died, to save only 3 people. Is it really that important that Senator Palpatine survives? Not Senator Palpatine, sorry. Padme. Padme, is it really important that she actually lives? What would happen if she died? They would just get another Senator, right? I mean, of course, lives are important.
Luke Skywalker or Leia if she died.
That's true, but like in the deep end, like why would they send all of those Jedi and 3 Jedi, and 2 Jedi and 1 politician, when they knew that the odds were totally against them? Like they know that the Federation has an army there. Like,
well, I can tell you why. Because George Lucas wrote it that way.
That's just
right.
Oh, my phone rings. We need to make a break. Be right back. So, there we are again. Where were we?
You're explaining to me like George Lucas wrote it.
Yeah, George Lucas wrote it that way. That's why they sent all the Jedis to rescue them.
I find that so dumb. I just can't believe that the Republic does not have an army. Like, how do they manage a galaxy without some sort of military force of some type?
Isn't that the Jedi?
Well, no, but see, that's the thing, is Jedi are not supposed to be these military go-getters.
Yeah.
That is not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They're ambassadors of some sort, like a higher ambassador that can use force, if necessary, but of their own, like, if the force tells them to. You know, like oh yeah, this is not in line, like, we gotta fix this.
They are like the Knights Templar. They
exactly.
are like those monks that also can fight if it would be necessary for them to fight.
But yeah, I just don't understand how that is necessary. Like, especially in the writing when they tell you, like, oh, Jedi are these ambassadors. They go and they help and they create peace. But, like, they're used as a military force. And that is really dumb. Like, I don't understand. Even we can even rewind to episode 1. Where, like, they literally could not help Naboo. Because these guys were creating a political problem. And they were actually, like, even if that was mentioned, I would be, if I was a government, like, let's send a force down there and actually see if this is true, because this is bad, and we need to fight against that if that is bad. But even if they did find out that was true, what would they do? They have no one to send. They don't have SEAL Team Coruscant to go in there and to, like, help these people.
Yeah, true.
It's like, how, like, I don't know. That's another thing that doesn't make sense to me with that.
And also, like, sending all those Jedi as a fighting force doesn't even make sense if you look at what Yoda said in episode 5. Like, when he was all like, a Jedi doesn't fight, and when you go into that cave, you will only find what you take with you. And your weapons, don't need them, you will. You know?
Yeah.
And then you would send all of these Jedis, guns blazing, or lightsabers blazing.
Burning, plasmaing.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll work on that, I guess.
That doesn't make any sense.
Not at all. I really didn't like that. I thought that was just, like, seriously, like, Anakin said at best when he encountered Dooku, you're gonna pay for all the Jedi you killed today, Dooku. Like, actually, technically, it should be you and Obi-Wan that should pay for all the Jedi that were killed that day. Because you guys were the root of this problem. Because, I mean, we could have easily got Obi-Wan out of there. But also, Anakin was dumb because his master was dumb. Because he wanted to go in there and just like, oh, let's go save Obi-Wan. That'll be easy with my girlfriend by my side.
And let's not forget what the first thing was. You said that perfectly yesterday. What the first thing was that Obi-Wan says to Anakin that came to save him, even though Obi-Wan screwed up big time. And then Anakin comes to save Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. Well, screws up as well, but look who his teacher was. So
exactly.
And then when they meet again in this arena thing,
he's like, good job.
Yeah.
That's
like,
what he said.
What are you doing here? Well, I'm trying to save you, Master. Well, good job there. Thank you.
Well done. We're all going to die. You suck. You get an F on this test, Anakin. Jedi Master. No way. That's not happening.
And now I get why they're fighting at the end of episode 3. Like, Anakin must be super pumped about that.
Episodes 1, 2, and 3 explain why Anakin turned to the dark side. I literally think it's because of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like, I seriously, if I had a master like Obi-Wan, I would have killed him years ago. Like, I'd be like, you know what? I want pointy head guys, my master. You know, like, at least he looks cool. You know, like, you're just annoying and super mean. Like, throws his. I remember this part. We skipped over this, but like Anakin loses his lightsaber. Obi-Wan just somehow catches that in the air because, you know, he's played professional baseball. Catches that, you're out, and he finds Anakin, and he's just like, you idiot! You dropped this, you know how much this costs? Like, we actually don't know, you know, like, isn't there like 3 bajillion lightsabers in the temple he could borrow? I don't know. He's like, this weapon is your life. Duh. It's not, because flippin' Yoda uses the Force and can carry, like, anything. Like, they should be really focusing on the Force. That's the other thing I don't like about the prequels, is they focus too much on this lightsaber dueling, when they should have been focusing on the Force.
Yeah.
But I really don't like that. Like, that's just like one of the many roasts that Obi-Wan does to Anakin, and he just treats him like garbage the whole time. Like, it's just a big root of bigger problems that come later.
That's true. So we're finally at episode 3 then, and we start with this. I gotta admit that epic space battle.
That was
beginning.
That seriously like made. I did not expect that happening.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, you're just sitting there watching the ships, and all of a sudden, like, you hear the drums beating, and you're like, okay, something's epic is coming. And then, like, you just get engulfed in, like, Saving Private Ryan, like, Star Wars. I seriously, like, I remember watching that. That was eye candy for, like, a kid. It was so good.
Like, you see the opening crawl, and then the camera pans down, and you just see those 2 Jedi starfighters. And you're like, okay, this is cool. And then the camera pans down even further, and then you see the whole... like space battlefield of sorts with all those huge Star Destroyers.
It's like Napoleon Warfare, the like battering ramming each other.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that was so cool.
It was a different approach than anyone's ever taken with the Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
because every Star Wars movie, other than Episode 2, has taken things really slow. You know, like and you like go to Tatooine or something. Actually, Episode 4 kind of got into some battle a little bit when they were getting captured, but. Nothing like Episode 3. That opening, I think that's where, I think Episode 7 might have gotten some inspiration from Episode 3. Just like coming in, slamming the audience, like Star Wars. This is why it's called Wars.
Yeah.
We're in it. And I thought that was a really good idea. It really engaged the audience. Like, if you've never seen Star Wars before, you're like, this is pretty good. I like this. It's pretty great.
But then there is the death of Count Dooku. Like, you have this... absolutely amazing actor, Christopher Lee.
Well done.
For whom you must have paid tons of money to get him for this movie, and then you kill him after 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, this is... I want to... Like, this is a reconnection to, like, why did we have Episode 1 in the first place? I think the whole order of villains was ridiculous. They treat Star Wars like superhero movies and having a different villain every movie.
Yeah.
I really wish they would have never done that, because... Let's look at all of the villains. You know, we have, my goodness, Darth Maul, Dooku, General Grievous, Quasi Anakin. You know, and we look at that. It's just which one of those is the more super dope villain? Like, obviously, Darth Maul kind of like controls over Dooku, but Dooku is also super like maniacal that you kind of want like as a villain.
Yeah.
But they need to choose. Like, a solid villain all his way through, because it just didn't make sense to, like, raise up Dooku. Like, he survived, he didn't die in Episode 2, and then you just kill him.
Yeah.
Like, he's just flesh meat. You literally took one of the best actors, one of the best villains in Star Wars, who could have had super potential because he turned to the dark side. Yoda trained him. We learned that in Episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you just threw that potential away. And we were going to learn so much, and it's just such a sad waste. I really like Dooku way more than General Asthma Robot Dude. Like, oh my god.
General Asthma Robot.
he put Darth Vader to shame. Like, hold on.
Yeah.
Literally, this guy's a menace. Let's just get his cane and like kick his legs out. Get up now, Grievous.
That's true. I mean, you see how he got that cough and he got very weakened when you watched Star Wars. What was it? The Clone Wars or just Clone Wars?
I think it was Clone Wars.
Like the 2D animation thing.
Oh, the old cartoons.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the movie of the Clone Wars or the series itself?
No, it was a 2-part movie, wasn't it?
Yeah. 2-part movie, old cartoon.
And in the second part, you see that some of the Jedi Force grabbed his intestines back thingy, and that's why he coughed in the end.
And he actually had like flesh and stuff, right?
Yeah, well, he had those metallic parts that would support what was left of him. Like he had basically just his head, his spine, and this bag of intestines. So and one of those Jedi's force grabbed that and some kind of crunched it, and that's why he got that cough.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting because, like, even then, like, it just goes back to, like, what the audience is saying the first time. because they just try to make him look sick. Like I call it the sick venom, like villain technique. You know, like because villains are always like deep breathing, like Vader.
Yeah,
that was the first, and then you have like this coughing, like they make him trying to look more menace and stuff. Like it just didn't really like fit with me. It was just like, what the heck? I just did not like Grievous.
Yeah, I was just laughing, and I don't think that I was supposed to laugh in that scene because when he took the escape pod from the falling ship, and he was just blasting off, and then he would just sit there and it was like, you're super menacing, bro. But I don't know. I don't think that I was supposed to laugh at that moment.
I don't think anybody was. I think George Lucas had some serious deep plans for General Grievous, but the problem is that we don't read George Lucas's mind. Fun fact: we have no idea what he's thinking because I've never watched the Clone Wars. I have no interest in the prequels. There's just so many things wrong with them. It just doesn't fascinate me that much. But like my friends tell me that General Grievous is actually a super bad guy, and he's a really good character in the Clone Wars. I'm like, oh, cool. George Lucas got a second chance because the first time we saw General Grievous, he's a coward.
Yeah.
He runs away.
Yeah.
And that was a very bad start for a villain because you're showing the audience that he is a coward, that he is one that will run away and be a pansy, and you don't see the threat like you do Darth Maul, who embraced the conflict. He didn't run away. He came there to finish this. Same thing with Dooku. Dooku ran away because, like, Yoda is OP, But, like, it just didn't make sense. Like, General Grievous had the tools. We later watch him, like, four-wheeled. Like, where was this when the threat was there? We were introduced to a very, very poor character at the beginning.
Yeah. So, what were you thinking about? Well, first of all, General Grievous dies in a very pathetic way, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes.
Yeah.
That was awful. I was super disappointed with the whole, like I said, the character was just pathetic. It was just so bad. The writing in episode 2 went from worst to, oh my goodness, get me out of the, like, if this wasn't Star Wars, if it had the name, I would literally not watch this. Because it was just so bad. I remember when Obi-Wan jumps down and he's like, your move.
Mm-hmm.
and he does this dumb little pose, like, what is this, Pokemon? General Grievous! You caught a Grievous! It's just like, it does not make sense. And then Grievous, like, they have this massive lightsaber duel. And you're like, okay, this is going to be so cool. You're literally like, okay, maybe Grievous isn't so bad. He's got 4 arms, 4 lightsabers. It's like, Dooku taught me about your ways. And you're just like, holy cow. Mm-hmm. This is going to go down. No, it doesn't. Like, literally, Star Wars, the prequels, are known for CGI. And they could use that to make some cool scenes. And they didn't. It was just like, slice off 2 arms. Like, can we make this not a video game? Like, this literally felt like a video game. Like, cut off his arms!
Yeah.
Cut off his next arms! Now chase him and shoot him! It felt so video gamey that it didn't feel right. I think maybe that's why they did it. They're like, George, we have to have the boss fight for that one level in your video game that the company's making. So, can we change this dope, awesome fight between General Grievous and Obi-Wan to, like, arms getting chopped off and then him getting shot in the heart?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll write that in there. Like, no, it literally felt like that.
Yeah.
And it ruined Obi-Wan's character.
That's true.
It totally ruined it. Like, I mean, like, of course you can maybe get a chuckle because fans are like, oh, Obi-Wan never uses guns. And he's like, oh, so uncivilized. And
even that sentence, I was expecting a sound effect after that. Like, he was like, oh, that's so uncivilized. And he throws it away, and I was like, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. Or even a but that didn't happen either. And
exactly.
I don't know.
It was just...
This moment was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just, like, it just kind of, like... it makes you like wonder. Like you spend so much time following Grievous, and this is the cool thing. Like the whole movie is the whole focus of Episode 3 is Anakin's downfall. So technically, like you're looking so much at General Grievous, but at the same time, he's actually not that big major of a character. Like when you find out that Anakin, like the Order 66 goes down, you literally see like Obi-Wan like run over like the body of General Grievous, hurrying, getting it like a bomber, and then like fly away. And you're just sitting there, just like, oh my goodness! It was like 5 minutes ago where we like the whole goal was to stop Grievous, and we did it. But then all of a sudden, like things completely changed course.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, I don't know, like I'm totally up for like this whole Federation, but like it just felt weird. Like the tone of the movie changed. Like you were there, and then all of a sudden Order 66 went down, and all of a sudden everything just switched. All of a sudden, I remember when I was little, I was like really confused, like how it was. You know, like you have to like understand it like later, but like it just didn't feel really flow. It didn't flow well. The transition.
That's true. Okay, so what did you guys think about the plot twist that wasn't really a plot twist because everyone knew what would be coming when Chancellor Palpatine was revealed to be Darth Sidious, aka the Emperor?
I just wonder how the Jedi couldn't tell.
I know.
I mean, he's evil from the beginning. You watch him like creepily look at Anakin. He's like, I can't wait to see how you grow up. That kind of creeps me out. But
yeah,
I think this is the dumb thing is that the audience knew the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
This is the flaw because there's always fun in a mystery. You're like, who's done it? You know, who's the bad guy?
Yeah.
But the problem is that everyone knows that the actor, fun fact, that played Emperor Palpatine, Emperor in the old ones is the same guy that is playing him now.
Yeah.
And especially when you see him like cloaked and it's like the same face. Like, I mean, like when I was 6, this was a plot twist for him. It was like, whoa, he's the bad guy. But all the adults are like, oh my gosh, that's his face. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
When is this going to happen? Oh, I'll have to wait 5 more years until Episode 3 comes out to see him actually, like, you know, burn and singe his face off. Which we didn't know until Episode 3. But, like, I just was so, I don't know. It was just, it felt like what Mohan Rai said about, it was just so annoying to see as an audience, like, this happen, and, like, him creepily moving on Anakin this whole time, and no one saying anything. Like it goes right back to Obi-Wan. He should have been the mentor for Anakin, because if you would have been the mentor for Anakin, then Anakin would have never, ever had to go toward another source. And Palpatine just ate that up for breakfast. He saw the power. He knew that this was going to happen. He knew the Jedi, like, wouldn't do that. And it was just so dumb. If Obi-Wan would have been the figure, would have never been a jerk to him, would have listened to him, would have talked to him. Because he's obviously, like, if he is the chosen one, you have to treat him different than the other younglings. That's the truth. You can't just... This kid has known his mother. The others don't.
Yeah.
So you obviously have to train him in a totally different way than any Jedi ever would. So you have to have, like, some equal ground for Anakin. That way he doesn't turn to the dark side. And that was a massive failure. And Palpatine just grabbed him and ate him for breakfast. And the dumb thing was that Anakin kind of knew all along. There was a lot of pushy moments where, like, in the moment where Anakin finds out, and he goes, "You're the Sith Lord!" I'm like, wow, Anakin, it took you this long? Like, literally.
I have been telling you all of those stories about ancient Sith Lords and stuff, and you couldn't figure it out?
Like, I would have known right then and there. Like, why are we watching this fish bubble show and weird monk music is playing in the background? And why did your buddies just leave me and you alone together? Like, I know we're tight, but, like, what the fish? They can stay. Like, they don't need to leave. And then you're just telling me, like, once upon a time, in a storybook that no one knows about, there was a Sith dude that slit this other Sith dude's throat. Isn't that a funny story, Anakin?
Hashtag totally not my master.
Totally not me, man. I heard that on Facebook. You know, that just went in the air. Like, oh, the Kalarami told me that one. That was a funny one. You know, like whatever. Like, Anakin, pull out your lightsaber. This is the funny thing, though, is that I never talked to you about this last time. Why do we have a whole army of Jedi go to save Obi-Wan and like Padme, and like why are we going to save them? And why do we have like 4 or 5 Jedi go to arrest Palpatine,
knowing that he's a Sith Lord,
knowing that he's the most powerful and only Sith that we have left?
Yeah.
And not only that, okay, maybe we can argue like he didn't invite Anakin because Anakin could betray them. But that would definitely show faith in Anakin at this opportune moment. He'd be like, Anakin, like, if things were bad and it was just Mace Windu and Palpatine fine, like, and the Mace Windu was against the wall, you know, and he's like, Anakin, I trusted you to help us. Please help me. And then he would have been like, you're right. You know, that could have been a huge change for Anakin.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, I heard someone say, like, well, this was a massive war. Jedi were everywhere. I'm like, are you kidding me? Just put the younglings outside in the hallway. Like, pick up scraps. If he dies, just go in there and stab his shins. You know, just have everyone there, have them breaking through the windows like Call of Duty, and just kill this guy.
Like Jedi SWAT teams.
Jedi SWAT teams, like, get on the ground! Electrocute him, you know? Like, seriously, I don't understand why 5 of them.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the other thing, is that fans of Clone Wars hate this scene, because you have dope characters in this. Like you've kind of seen in episode 1 and 2, but in Clone Wars they're major characters.
Yeah.
And they get killed super easy.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat, because for no reason. And the sad thing is that you can't, this actor was so old, they could not do any duels or like fight scenes with him without CGIing the whole crap of the scene out of the situation. So he was killing them in the most dumb ways. Like one scene, like, ha! And then he jabs them.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh! They literally made that noise.
Yeah.
And that was the dope. What was his name? The green guy.
Kid Fisto.
Kid Fisto did the. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh! What a bird to the fans with that scene. Like I don't understand that.
And then Anakin is all like, "What have we done? What have I done? I just killed Mace Windu. What did you make me do?" Well, I'm gonna make you the most powerful Sith in the galaxy, and we can rule this thing together. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah, just like that. Like, I can't turn back now.
Yeah.
Because, like, I literally didn't kill him. I just chopped off his arm because I did not agree that we should kill him. I wanted him in court.
Yeah.
So because I did that, I basically... You didn't kill him, Anakin. You were making an option that you were like... It was a just decision. Like, you wanted to put him in court. Mace Windu was right. They should have killed him.
Right.
But...
Well, not only was he wanting to put him in court and do all the just decision stuff, he also had his relation problem. He was going to save Padme because that's what Emperor Palpatine promised him. So he says, I need him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you got to include that in there.
Yeah.
But this is the other thing, like, the whole, like, connections thing. This is the problem with the Jedi. If Anakin could have been able to speak to the Jedi, this whole situation would have been avoided. If he would have been able to been open with the Jedi and been like, he is promising that I will be able to save ones that I love. And they know already that Anakin has had this problem. Like, literally, they can't kick him out now because they already know he had a connection before. Like, it's obviously that if he has a connection before, he's going to have connections now.
Yeah.
Like, that should be already pre-assumed. And they're like, okay, Anakin, what did he tell you? He's like, he said I could bring people back from the death, people that were dying. And then Yoda was like, whoa! What? Mace, did you hear this bullcrap? Anakin, that is so wrong. And like they could have taken him to the Jedi records and been like, Anakin, check out this calculus formula. It literally forcibly does not work. And Anakin's like, oh my gosh, you're right. He lied to me. That toolbag's trying to use me.
Big surprise that a Sith Lord lied to you.
Yeah, let's look at the Sith code here. They're passionate but liars.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, let's don't forget that they want to stay in power. Like, you don't study, like, you study the Force. Like, you should be able to know how the Sith operate. Like, this is why I like Force Unleashed, is because, like, the one chick, like, Azra, what's-her-face, gets killed by the weird octopus thing. I can't remember Star Wars characters for the life of me. But she's like, Sith always lie and betray one another. Like, did you learn that when Anakin turned to the dark side, or did you always know that? Because you should always know that. Especially when you know, like, the deep novels, like how they were the rules of two and all that stuff. They should know how the Sith got destroyed.
Actually, the whole point of the rule of two is that the the apprentice would kill the master. Then the apprentice would betray the master. So how are they to be trusted in the first place?
And this whole system doesn't even work. Like,
yeah.
How would you... Why... Okay, seriously, like, if you were a Sith, a Force user, and you heard that this system was supposed to happen, wouldn't that, like, be, like, something indicating, like, one day I'm going to have my apprentice kill me? Like, we're not praying mantises. We don't have to kill one another, like, in order to keep this going. Like, we could literally not do this and be alive. Like, that does not make sense. Like, even if you're wanting a higher power, and the next guy's going to have it, like, that wouldn't make sense even no matter how evil and maniacal you are. Palpatine would not do that. Like, and that doesn't make sense in Star Wars either.
Yeah.
This whole rule of two, this whole Sith thing, how they work. And the fact is the Jedi would know how that would work. And that's why they're not there supposedly anymore. And this guy's trying to bring it up again. And I think that was the whole point. Anakin could not go and talk. If he would have been able to talk, if he would have been able to have trust, he would have been heard. I wonder sometimes what would happen if they would have allowed him in the Jedi Council. Like, he would have actually been, able to counsel. And saying, like, hey, you can sit there on the bench and just listen to Dad and Mom talk about real problems. You just sit there, okay? We don't even want to hear you. It was awful. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's true. So, the final battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, boy.
Right before that battle, we could see that Anakin had killed all those younglings, and then he went to, what was it, Mustafar?
Yeah, Mustafar.
Mustafar, and there he killed the whole Separatist council, and then we could see his eyes with this yellowish red glow.
Totally want those contact lenses.
Yeah, yeah. And then, right in the next scene, when Padme lands on the platform, and she's like, "Oh, Anakin, you're breaking my heart. You're going on a trail where I can't follow you." And his eyes are completely normal again.
True.
It's like a gecko.
Yeah.
It's like a gecko, yeah. It's like, oh, Padme's here. Hey, sweetheart. I didn't kill the daycare center at the Jedi Temple. That wasn't me. No, my lightsaber isn't turning red in the near future. It's staying blue for you, honey.
Yeah.
Blue and true. No, that's
Exactly.
not what happened.
And then why does he force choke her again? You were talking about this.
Yeah, this is my root problem here. Obi-Wan flipping Kenobi, always just ruining everything left and right. Okay, so he goes to Padme. He's like, Anakin's in trouble. And this is seriously the whole relationship between Padme and Anakin. Okay, in episode 2, I can understand how they could secretly get married and people not knowing about it. But surely in episode 3, there should be something. They made out by the pillar, and all the Jedi, like Yoda, should be like, "Whoa! Did you hear that switching? There's someone making out back there. Who's that? Anakin! Come here right now. You're in trouble, sir." Like that should have been what happened. But no one's like, "Wow, Padme, you're pregnant. How did that happen? Let's get the test here. Like, did you just magically become pregnant? Test her, like, oh my gosh, it's Anakin Skywalker. Okay, no one tell anybody. No one. This stays between us. Like on the Murray show. Like, Anakin, you're the father. They don't have that in Coruscant. Like, they literally have nothing to find out. Like, even if they have the Force, they should know. If they have eyes, they should know. Who does Anakin hang out the most? Oh, he goes to Padme's a lot and watches Netflix. I mean, there has to be something happening down there. I mean, it just doesn't make sense about this whole relationship. So when Obi-Wan's like, oh, he's the father, isn't he? Like, it's just as pitiful as when Anakin finds out that Palpatine's a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I am so sorry. I'm also sorry for you, Obi-Wan, that you couldn't figure this out way, way sooner.
And I mean, it's not just the Jedi. I mean, she is a senator, and she is like a public figure, right?
Right.
And
She
all
should
of a
be like
sudden,
on TMZ.
Yeah.
Like,
TMZ.
She just got pregnant. Who's the father?
Who does she hang out the most with? Well, we saw Anakin Skywalker sneaking out earlier today.
You know, like they should have like one of those pervert like drone cams in episode 2 that inserted the worms, like taking pictures. Like, oh man, that's them. They're in there. Who's the father? We don't know. That's literally what should have happened. But in the Star Wars universe, things can't be explained.
Yeah.
And so I think that was just something that really annoyed me, was that this whole time no one knows anything about the relationship. And so he comes on, and Obi-Wan in his infinite wisdom is like, I'm going to surprise Anakin. Just like, I'm going to surprise him after he just murdered the whole daycare center at the Jedi Temple. He killed all the Jedi. The clones love this guy. He's famous. I'm just going to go and be like, surprise! Right as they're having a very intense couple moment, you know?
Yeah.
And I just found out they were a couple a few hours ago. I'm going to take this slow. And so Obi-Wan just stands there, hands on his hips like Peter Pan. And he's like, and of course I would be ticked if I were Anakin. Like, what? Like, you brought Obi-Wan? Like, of course he's like, you brought me. He's like, no, Anakin, no. And what does Obi-Wan say? Let her go, Anakin. Let her go. Like, dude, he is killing a woman right now. Like, can't you force push him or something? Like, quit choking her. Please stop. Stop it. No.
Excuse me, could you please not?
Please, her windpipe is being closed shut. She has 3 minutes to live. Please stop doing that. Whatever you do, just stop it, please. I'm just going to use my words. I'm going to diplomat with you. Just don't. Like, no, come on, man. He's killing Padme. Push him out of the way. Get that out of there. It literally was super annoying. And then that was a bad and then Obi-Wan in his infinite wisdom comes over to Padme. He's like, I'm gonna check her pulse. Okay, she's slightly alive. I'm gonna fight now. Like, that didn't make any sense. Like, he is literally the worst Jedi and worst person because she's dying. And the robot's like, she lost her will to live. Probably because no one could read her pulse. Obi idiot over here couldn't do it.
I guess that must have been something that Obi-Wan made them say, well, I guess she just lost her will to live.
Obi-Wan's like, don't ever tell them.
And then Obi-Wan would be like, is there any other possibility that would make her die right now? Well, we didn't check on that, but no, we're fine then. Okay, she lost her will. She
just lost the will. A doctor came up to you like, your wife just lost the will to live. We could not do anything to keep her alive.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And they have this super expensive and futuristic looking hospital, and they can't save her life because she lost her will to live.
I know we're in a galaxy a long time ago, but it's also far, far away. We have medical technology where we don't trust humans anymore. We're letting robots do this.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard theories about how Padme was being killed by the Force, but once again, we are seeing this on the film. Theories set aside, this is what George Lucas is delivering to the audience to watch, and everyone is seeing this, and it's just, it does not make sense. Okay, so Padme is super sad that Anakin turned to the dark side, but she herself says, I know that there's good in him. I just know it. Obviously she has not lost the will to live on Anakin's accountability. So what else would make her lose the will to live? That does not make sense.
Yeah.
There is something, okay, everyone, look inside. There's no eternal bleeding. Just get your flippin' X-ray and, let's cauterize this or something with some future technology that we have now.
Yeah.
That did not make sense. But if the theory is true that Palpatine was killing her, then the robots were I don't understand it. That makes, I love Star Wars so much, you kind of want to believe this type of things because it was such nonsense that you have to believe in it in order to like it because it was just such garbage.
But it wouldn't even make sense story-wise because in Episode 6, Leia tells Luke that she remembers her mother.
Yeah, that was
when she
weird.
was a kid.
I know,
and she was this super beautiful woman, but very sad. And I was like, oh, that would make a humongous and beautiful story in the prequels. But then she gets killed by the Force when they're born or something. I don't know.
All right.
Here, hold on real quick. I'm going to go deep. And I'm going to try to remember. Oh, yep, I remember now, coming out of the womb, crying. There's my mom. Oh, she's beautiful. She looks awful, though, man. Like, she just birthed me. But, like, does that happen ever?
No.
No! This is bad. Seriously, I wonder if George Lucas even was like, maybe I should watch 4, 5, and 6 before. No. I remember everything. I remember writing something like Leia knew her mom, but that's not important. It is such bad writing. But back to the battle, I thought the lightsaber duel was actually not too bad.
That looked good.
It looked good.
Yeah.
But I thought it lasted way too long. And then from the lights, I think one of the coolest scenes was when they're in the hallway, and the lightsabers were hitting, and the what's it called? The sparks were flying in there, and it was just super cool. But then I thought it went way too much when they were monkey roping across over magma, fighting. I thought it felt like Man of Steel fighting General Zod, but at the same time, it's they were fetching Superman and General Zod, and they had these massive powers. And there was a reason why it lasted so long. It's because they're both so powerful.
Yeah.
They can't beat each other. But it was so long. It was just this budget that you used for the film and the time could have been used to explain so many other things in the movie that people wanted. Mm-hmm. It was just ridiculous.
And then, right in the end, you were talking about this yesterday. When Obi-Wan slices Anakin's legs off and his arm, and then he's just frying there on the lava pit, and he says, "Anakin, you were my brother. I love you."
First time ever saying that.
First time ever saying that, for real. I was like, really? You've been treating him like crap the last 3 movies, and all of a sudden you love him?
Now, don't quote me on this, but I remember Anakin saying, "I hate you," right after he said that.
Yeah.
I would say that too, because why did you wait so long to say that?
Yeah.
Because Anakin...
basically no attachments, I guess.
No attachments, we can't do that. But then you show Obi-Wan has attachments. So, this is an interesting thought. Because if Anakin... I said this before, Anakin needs to be trained differently than any other Jedi has ever trained before, because he's been raised differently than any Jedi has ever been raised before.
Yeah.
So the fact is that maybe Obi-Wan has developed these new thinkings as well, which also linked into training Luke, which could also maybe explain why Luke was so emotional when being trained. But it just seriously, it didn't make sense. Obi-Wan is such an idiot. Why did he not take the time to tell Anakin this? I guess you could kind of see in their character in the films, you could tell that they were friends. Because you watch them 700 times when you're little, and you're like, oh yeah, they're just best friends. And then when you watch this scene, it hurts because but then if you actually watch the details, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because they never ever have said you're like my brother, bro. I love you. I'm really glad that you're my Padawan, and I hope to see you be a Jedi Master. That never happened. It never happened with any Jedi. And I think Anakin, maybe that was the whole reason, he turned to the dark side. If George Lucas was aiming toward that, it just didn't make sense to Anakin. He couldn't fit as a Jedi because he had this different way. He was not a Jedi because he was the only Jedi that had attachments.
Yeah.
If any other Jedi did have attachments, they turned to the dark side, and it just couldn't work. And so maybe if that was what George Lucas was aiming for, then yes, I could understand it, but he presented it in such an awful, badly written way that it just didn't make sense. But I really think that the scene where he's saying "I hate you" really kind of just shows, after Obi-Wan especially says he loves him. I mean, also he got his arms chopped off. That just sealed the deal. Of course he's gonna hate you, and you did everything wrong. It could have been approached in a different way.
Yeah, true. So Anakin gets fried, and Obi-Wan picks up his lightsaber and takes it with him, and he goes to Tatooine to watch how Luke's being raised, and Leia goes with Bail Organa to Alderaan, and Yoda goes to Dagobah, and
Vacation.
so we're finally at the point where we go to the old trilogy, like 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
But Anakin turns into Darth Vader, and here's another thing that I just don't get. Like, it doesn't make sense that this whole technology that they have is so advanced, even more advanced than it was in the old trilogy, and they still make Darth Vader so weak that he has a hard time breathing.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the prequels, and I mean, like, the thing is that George Lucas made the mistake because the old movies were so good that no one really asked super deep questions because, like, I mean, of course they had questions because you had the story before, but because he made the prequels, he sadly ruined 4, 5, and 6 as well because the gaps that he filled in also didn't help make. You said it before, like Leia finding out, like, yeah, I saw my mom. Like, maybe she's a Force user and can have visions and stuff, but, like, I mean, Leia's not like, she surely should know, like, wow, it's not normal to see my mom at birth.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there should be, like, it kind of ruined 4, 5, and 6 in the future. And I think that's kind of sad. It really doesn't help fill up the gaps.
Actually, it might be the other way around as well, because if you would start watching Star Wars by episode 1, not having seen the old trilogy, then it would ruin the old trilogy for you. But if you knew 4, 5, and 6 beforehand, and then you would watch the prequels, that would ruin the 1, 2, and 3 for you.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard of people starting 1, 2, and 3 first, and then watching 4, 5, and 6, and like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's dependent upon the viewer. But I really think it's kind of sad because George Lucas kind of created the future for viewers. Because when you look at a series, do you start with episode 4 or do you start with episode 1? You start with episode 1. Like, if you're just starting fresh on the series. Of course, you're going to have the diehard fans, like, start with 4. But, like, in a new viewer's mind, like, 20 years down the road, people are going to be like, I'm going to start with episode 1. And they'll watch that. And it really sets up for 4, 5, and 6. And that, I think, is a dangerous game that George played. Because he really created the first steps for people to view Star Wars as. You're literally starting Star Wars with Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Like, that is a very scary beginning. And all the Star Wars fans are like, no!
Yeah.
Don't!
Actually, I heard that the best order to watch the Star Wars movies in, and not to spoil the big plot twist that, spoiler alert, Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, like, as if that wasn't clear by now. But
there are spoilers in this podcast. Please do not listen to it if you want to watch Star Wars. We should have said this way before.
We're over an hour in and we're now saying that there are spoilers in this podcast. But anyways, I heard that the best order to watch the Star Wars movies in would be starting with 4, then 5, at the end of 5 having the Luke, I am your father scene. Then I'm jumping to episode 2 and 3, knowing how he became Darth Vader, and then finish with episode 6 and skip episode 1 altogether.
Right. Makes sense.
But what about the pod racing?
The pod racing was just a 20-minute commercial for the video game.
Loved it. Played that for hours. Oh my god.
Yeah. So, I guess we have talked for almost 1.5 hours now, and we just scratched episodes 1, 2, and 3. I think we should wrap this up and continue with 4, 5, and 6 in the next episode.
Yep,
Right.
I agree.
And this whole time we've been tearing apart Star Wars and ripping it, but as much as fun as it is for nerds to pick it all apart, you get a normal viewer like me, and I will stick glued to these Star Wars movies and absolutely love them. I have never even thought of coming close to this.
I think this is the weird part about us being nerds, because we are roasting those movies and we're picking them apart, but
Because we love them.
Yeah, because we love them.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, like, we care about it so much, and in the end, like, we all know that Star Wars literally is, like, the coolest thing ever. And it's just kind of fun to, like, see how it was made. And so, in the spirit of all, like, we love Star Wars. That's why we did it.
Yeah, that's it. So I guess we see each other in the next episode. And until then, don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/NerDaddy, and the blog on www.nerdaddieslife.blogspot.de. And you got some videos on your Facebook page, right?
Yes, I do. Check out McKay Wadsworth on Facebook, and I have a channel called Change the World. I try to help people in the world overcome problems and solutions to help change this world and all the struggles. So if you guys have any questions or about this page, just go to Change the World on Facebook or McKay Wadsworth on Facebook.
Yeah, and links to all that will be in the description down below. And any final thoughts, anything that you'd like to say?
It was fun being here. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks for the cookies.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So see you in the next episode then. Bye!